Content warning. Tharkold is a techno-horror reality filled with pain, suffering, and despair. Sensitive topics will be discussed in this episode, such as body horror, slavery, and a situation very similar to the war in Ukraine. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Once again, this is the Torg Eternity Delphi Council Debriefings, where the storm has a name. Once again, we are your hosts, Leamon, Mark, and JM. And we will be continuing Tharkold with Part 2. We didn't receive any emails since last time, so if you do have questions, comments, or whatever, please send us an email at torgdcd@gmail.com, and we will read those for the recording. If you have questions, we'll try to answer the questions. And I don't have any announcements either, so we will jump right into Tharkold. So the first thing that Tharkold is kind of cool with is it has a couple of new races in it that you can play: the aspirants and, ironically enough, the race. So JM, what I remember you talking last recording about the aspirants a little bit.
Yes. I love the aspirants. I love the idea that you can play sort of this techno demon on the path of redemption. And we got to have one in our stream game, played by my buddy Ben. He played a guy named Kowalski. And, you're smaller. So, as you brought up last time, mechanically, you're not on par with the techno demon. This cutting off from the source of evil, if you will, has made you smaller, weaker, but they have a ton of perk trees that allow you to sort of recover your power. But I think it's also interesting that almost immediately aspirants are going to be looked upon by any other techno demon just because of their size and their reduced power. That goodness is a weakness, and you've just proved it to me because I now see where you're at in the in the hierarchy. But I mean, the perk trees allow you to do things that are very techno demon. So you can pick up chains, you can become large again, you can get extra occult tech. I mean, there's a ton of great things. You can fly. If you really want to invest in it, you can really make the Tharkoldu aspect of your character the focus of your character.
Mm-hmm. Mark, any thoughts about the aspirants?
So, aspirants from the standpoint of Torganized play, when we were setting out because that's, Torganized play is a shared world, and it's groups of people coming together at a table and then they go separate. It's not like a home game where the same group of people come together every session and they keep playing and you build rapport and everything. We looked at aspirants from the standpoint of what the Tharkoldu are, and they're essentially the embodiment of evil, right? And dominance is a thing, and I'm gonna exert my will on you, or you're gonna exert your will on me. And so based on the idea that an aspirant, while they're on the road to redemption, they're still Tharkoldu, but they're an aspirant now because something's changed their outlook, but they still have all the tendencies that the Tharkoldu have. And so to try and mitigate any potential difficulties in groups of people coming together and going apart, where the RP might degenerate, so to speak, and when you're in a setting where you've got 4 hours and you need to get stuff done in 4 hours, eating up role play time with that dynamic. We just like, okay, so we restricted the aspirant from play. It's not that you can't play it, but you have to get a cert in order to play it in organized play. And you can get that by running the book, the Blood on the Blasted Lands book, which is a great book. I'm pointing it tease to my left there. Fabulous book, a lot of fun. But from a home game standpoint, Aspirant, like JM said, Aspirant's a fabulous road to redemption character. I mean, you've got a great story arc there that you can write yourself and sit down and look at your Aspirant and say, well, I am the embodiment of evil, but I have to find a better way because these people, whatever your excuse is. And then through Gamma, how does your character walk that path of redemption? And that's up in the air on how you want to do that. Do you want to do the Punisher version of it? Do you want to do Darth Vader? How do you want to do that?
I do like the fact that one of the things that you give up, like there's two things you give up. You get some cool bonuses for being the aspirant. You get free cyber tech or occult tech. You get claws. You have wings. You have some of the things that you would think of a techno demon, but you're limited in the fact that you have you get a penalty to all persuasion checks because you're a demon. Either you're a techno demon or other techno demons don't care. But the other thing is you don't get all of the destiny cards that everyone else gets. You play one short because your destiny is to be evil. You're actively fighting against your destiny. And so you don't get as many destiny cards. And that was probably the thing out of everything that kept coming up to bite Ben for playing a Tharkold, was the fact that he goes through destiny cards quick because he had to play into the drama deck and the approved actions just to be able to have more cards that he could see,
just to reach parity for everybody else.
Yeah, and that's it's one of those that seems such a small thing, like it's only a destiny card. I get 3 to start, they get 4, but that you're 75% there. You're not full. And then the outsider with the -4, it's not just the Tharkold, the ones that are still evil, looking at you going, I need to squash you because you're trying to be something that you shouldn't be. Everybody else sees you as a techno demon, so you're -4 to them also. So it's not even like the Edenos that, okay, they're -4 to outside, but for other Edenos, they're -4. No, an aspirant would be -4 to everybody because nobody likes them. You're trying to buck the system by being good, so where you come from doesn't like you, and then other people know you're a demon. And the other thing is they are considered supernaturally evil creatures. So the ward enemy miracle that like every single person who gets miracles gets ward enemy, all the NPCs will have it. I would say it doesn't necessarily say it, but I would almost say that in any game master at their own table, it would be perfectly fine to say, okay, when your priest does ward enemy, it doesn't work for you. You don't get that bonus to your defense because you're supernatural evil. It's trying to hurt you. So, that would, like I said, it's not specifically said there, but I could see how that could be taken, and that would be a house rule that I would be completely behind as you're evil. You're not protected like the rest of the people. So yes, aspirants are cool. The backstory of that is in original Torg, Tharkold weren't actually demons. They were just called demons because that's what they looked like. They were a player character race, and when Torg Eternity came out, Daryl, the original line developer, was nope, never going to have techno demons as PCs. They're demons. Nope, not going to happen. And the other author for Tharkold, the other main author, John Watson, was like, I really, really want him. And they were back and forth. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. And then John Watson was like, how about a redemption arc? And Daryl then went, okay, you got me. That makes sense. So, and then you get to power down the aspirant, and they're not that full techno demon, but they can aspire to be a good version that is as powerful by advancing through that.
Yeah. And I mean, you're going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a massive set of perks to recover it.
Yeah, but it's a neat storyline for the game. I mean,
Right.
it really illustrates Torg Eternity when you roll up into the cyber papacy, and you've got, it doesn't matter that you have an Adinos warrior or a Gotak or an Optant with you. They don't even look at that guy. They're looking at the demon that's rolling with you, and they're like, well, no, everything stops. Let's get that guy out of here first. And like, no, I'm a good guy. And now you have to spend half an hour at the table trying to figure out how to convince the resistance that no, you're not the bad guy.
That's where the disguise spell comes in. But no, the aspirants are really cool. We also have the race, which is humans that aren't humans.
Right. They're near humans.
So they look like humans. All their maximum attributes are the same, but there are human perks that they can't get, and then there's race perks that humans can't get. It would be very similar to the difference of like a dog and a wolf. So they can, there's probably, you can interbreed, you can, they're close enough. They have a similar lineage. It's just their conditions have changed them. Their conditions on the Tharkold home world, the home cosm, is so different that they're not exactly human anymore. So that's I mean, there's not a lot to say unless either one of you have some more besides they're human but not.
I mean,
Well,
they got a lot of psionics, which I love. And I love the idea of a sixth column resistance going on, right? You've got the race that is working against, in some cases, even humanity. They've got their own thing that they're doing, but they're indistinguishable. So it's not even sort of a Quisling sort of thing. It is, yeah, I don't actually see you as I mean, even the name of the title, The Race, you're not one of us. You're not a member. You may look like us, but you are not. And it plays into this real dark aspect of Tharkold, which, we mentioned last time that I love.
Well, that's the thing about, I mean, I look at the race as a kind of a cross between Spartacus and the soldiers from the Terminator world, because the race was bred for and has lived through literally 3,000 years of war. That's all they know, and that's all they're good at, because if you're not good at it, you're dead. Quite literally. If you can't fight and survive, you're dead. And so literally only the strongest survive for them, right? So if you're not capable and you don't make good snap decisions, and usually it's a lot of the Navy SEALs approach: speed of action, violence of action. Those are the people that survive. Act quickly, act violently, and you live.
So are you saying in the grim darkness of Tharkold, there's only war?
Well, I mean, for the race, there is. It's all conflict. Everything comes down to conflict for the race. And it isn't, I mean, in the slave pits, when you're bred, they start from the weak ones. Get rid of that one. I don't, and get rid of means exactly what you think it means, because there's no use for it. What do we have use for a weak race, a weak person? We don't. You either serve, and the alpha of the pride, what does he want? He wants to exert his dominance. Well, how does he do that? He does that with his with naked force by his troops who do what he tells them to do at the drop of a hat without question.
Yeah.
If you hesitate, he just offs you and puts somebody in your place who doesn't hesitate. So, I mean, there's an on and an off for the race.
Yeah, and either if you're a thrall or if you're one of the free, you basically have similar conditions on you.
Yeah.
It comes from the same source, but in a different way. The same source being the Tharkold, the techno demons. But yes, that's very interesting, and just a spin off of the, it's not just an elf with ears. It's a human that's not human because of the conditions, and that is something I did want to mention. Tharkold, as we said last week, this is one of those very depressing, dreary realms that has sensitive subjects that you as a game master, you as players will want to talk about to determine which aspects. If your group and you want to have all of it, great. If you want to cut anything out, please feel free to. It's nothing saying that you have to put this body horror into it. Nothing saying that you have to put the idea of slavery through thralls. If that's something that makes you uncomfortable, you can step back from that. And unfortunately, the current political situation and a war going on in Ukraine, that is something that we wrote before it happened, and then it happened, unfortunately, in real life. I can see where it can be very sensitive. I have friends in both countries that if I was game mastering for them, I probably wouldn't bring that aspect up because that's hitting them real life. So
they're living it.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need to get into a fantasy role playing game to live or have a character dealing with what they're dealing with. So yeah, do remember, have your lines, have your veils, talk with your group, but anything that the group and individuals want to go with, there is a lot of stuff, and a part of this body horror is the mutations. The mutations are a different type of perk category that gives you bonuses, but then there is a slightly randomized negative, a penalty that goes with it. So, and this was a thing when we were developing Tharkold, just to let people know what was going on at that time with the mutations. Originally, it was you roll on the random mutations. You picked what you wanted, like the oversized arm, but then for the debilitating mutations, you rolled and you were stuck with it. Because a lot of us have an old school mentality of role playing and stuff of sometimes things happen bad to you randomly and the role playing is moving along with it. But these things, again, might be sensitive subjects to people. So the way we worked it out was that you would pick what your mutation your penalty, the debilitating part of the mutation would be. And it would be random until you rolled that. So every session, it's just the mutations are happening. So you might have brittle bones, but then it mutates. And then you have a strong odor, and then it mutates until it gets to the final form of what you are comfortable with. And then it kind of settles in place. So that was a way to allow the randomness, but to also allow the player to have agency over what the final form is. If you, as a game master, want it to where your players just choose it, or if your group is perfectly acceptable of, hey, let's just roll it randomly and keep it random, that's perfectly acceptable. You don't have to call me and get my permission to change it.
My table, we expanded that quite a bit. They were like, I want more bad mutations. Like 10 isn't enough. Like
So yes, take it as much as
Yeah.
you want. Expand it if that's what you're going for. If that's something that excites your players, do it. If it's something that doesn't, then rein it back. But it's just to me, it's just a cool aspect of Tharkold that there is this blasted land where
Mm-hmm.
Volkov nuked his capital city and it blew up a maelstrom bridge and it made all this radiation go everywhere, and now people are mutating, and it's not the realistic you just get radiation poisoning and you die. It's the cinematic you get mutations and you become a ninja turtle.
It's
right.
it's the 1950s things happen and hands grow out of your foreheads mutations. Yeah.
So the ones that strike me as the weirdest perks, I don't know if weirdest is the way to go with it, but so I said when I run Tharkold, I lean very much into like the Clive Barker style of horror. The depravity perks are legitimately disturbing, and so you're like, they really went back and forth about whether putting techno demons as a player option in there. I'm like, but then who came up with the depravity perks? Because they're like sadism and masochism are paths you can go down. Do you draw your energy from inflicting pain? Very Tharkold. Do you draw your energy from receiving pain?
Yeah,
Both very Clive Barkerian. I don't know what the adjectival form of Clive Barker's name is.
Clive Barkerian, sure. Doesn't sound right, but it's probably
Yeah.
correct.
and it's not just one. You get the masochist, and then that can lead to one with pain. So it's even a tree. It's not just a single perk. But yes,
Well, and the weird one, the sadism perk embraces the law of pain, and it stacks with the law of pain. So basically, when you inflict a wound, you get extra shock back. So I could see a build that uses some of the prowess perks that cost shock to do things.
Right.
Like you're spending shock, but you're recovering shock. You get possibility on the other tree. Like once per scene, when you take one or more wounds and don't soak, you get a possibility for each wound taken. And then when you said one with pain, you actually reduce the penalty from having wounds by one. That's a tempting perk to take.
Yes.
Along with psionics and mend, and you just I take every scene I'm going to take a wound if I can, and then give me an hour and I mend, and so I get a free possibility. I can see that being not abused necessarily. But I mean, it's like you said, it's very Tharkoldu because it's the law of pain. Those are, from my perspective, those are trees and perks that I would probably not use from a GM standpoint. Those are not the stories that interest me from the standpoint of what I would like to write and tell as adventures and things. And so I do not use them because they are not things that I'm interested in exploring as far as storytelling is concerned. But for, like you were just saying, for the standpoint of the game mechanic, I make shock monkeys all the time, running around where I take shock to power up my stuff. And then now, I have a spirit of 10 and I can't do the thing because I've got 9 shock right now. Somebody give me a second wind. And now I can do the thing. Right. And when they came out with some of the Pan Pacifica stuff, that the gene mods, I love, there's a gene mod out there that's like once per scene. 1d6 plus 1 shock recovered. Love it. So we do the thing, we get some more back, we do the thing. Wait, I can get a possibility if I just fine.
Yeah, and again, lean into the tropes that you and your group are comfortable with, and
yes,
nothing says that you have to use everything, especially in these horror type realms. JM really leans into it. Mark doesn't as much,
I-
but neither one of you is wrong, and that's what I want to say.
No,
is that,
exactly.
you know, everybody you can tailor it to
I
how
don't
you
think
want.
either of us were commenting on that. Yeah.
No.
No.
I'm just saying to the listeners, the viewers.
Okay.
You know, we're having this discussion with each other, but it's for the benefit.
Neither one of us
listeners.
are saying this is something you shouldn't do. It's
That's right.
Personally for me, I
Right.
don't. I play a lot of Torg. I run a lot of Torg. I play a lot of Torg. Getting involved in a game that would have this as a central aspect of it for me would be different, and I would enjoy playing the game. It's not a theme I would want to play, 12 sessions through.
Right.
But hitting it, going into Tharkold, is that Tharkold? Is that Tharkold? And I'm getting ahead of us for setting in adventures and stuff, but is that Tharkold? Absolutely, that's Tharkold. 100%. So from the standpoint of an NPC and running the game, having that show up as a thing on like the bad guy I got to fight, absolutely, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Having a PC that's doing it, having a Storm Knight that's doing it, absolutely. If you want to play Tharkold, that's Tharkold. There are other ways to do Tharkold too, but that is 100% Tharkold.
Right. And that's one of the things I actually really like about Tharkold is depending on where you are, what you're doing, there is just so much different flavor in it. You know, you have
Yes.
and then let's go ahead and transition to the different themes of Tharkold. How, as a game master, you can tailor your adventures for Tharkold, and as a player, how you can look at different ideas of what type of Storm Knights you can be, because there is a lot of differing.
Yeah.
I think in Organized Play on our Wednesday stream, Mike has 2 Tharkold characters, I have 1, and they're all completely different, besides our bad Russian accents.
You've got to lean into that.
So for our viewers, Leamon actually speaks Russian, and he speaks the bad Russian that we can't do on a PG-13 route. But it's funny because we'll throw out stuff and it's like, no, that's not how that goes. And he'll correct our bad Russian. It's fun.
But we have differences between urban and rural settings that can be very different. Your rural setting, basically Russia is, you have these cities and towns, and between them is vast wilderness. And this is just the European. It's even worse in the Asian part of Russia. Once you pass the Urals, you can have the third biggest city, Novosibirsk, and anywhere around it is just complete wilderness. It's like these.
Is that over in the Perm district? Perm?
No, it's farther. It's farther over.
Okay.
It's not. It wouldn't even be in Tharkold, but that's just how Russia is. On the east of the Urals, where Tharkold is, you will have your cities, and they, depending on which of the dukes is controlling it, can be different. So if you wanted something more like modern Russia, have your adventure be where Volkov is controlled. If you want it to be Mad Maxy, more brutal gangs in an urban, more modern, not completely destroyed environment, then you'd have it with Jezreel. You'd have her be the one controlling it. If you want to get into the demons are walking the street as, I don't want to say police officers, but in that making sure everything's right, then that's going to be Thrachin. That's going to be hit where the demons are on top, definitely, and there's no humans or race are allowed to do anything. So you have those very big variations. Out in the wilderness, that's where you actually get your Mad Max. Gasoline is a rare commodity. You have monsters out there, abominations out, that are also mutated, and that you have lots of any of the tiny little villages of a few people are destroyed because they didn't make it, or they came together and built a version of Bartertown. So there's just tons and tons of different flavors that you can have. And then in the city in St. Petersburg, you can have a modern city with entertainment. People are watching TV, they're getting on the internet. Hopefully they're not getting into Kerr. But
They are.
There's just a ton of different adventures that you can have in one realm. So I've been talking a lot. Let's go with Mark. Your thoughts on all of this ideas.
So you mentioned all of the buzzwords that I put down, with the exception of a couple for theme and setting. Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome, Bartertown, all of that. That's great stuff. Fallout 4. I mean, if you like Fallout 4 and the way that's Blasted Lands to me. I mean, hands down, you can absolutely do that in the Blasted Lands beyond the collapse of civilization, because if you go far enough, you can get to civilization, but comfort and convenience have a price in Tharkold, and it usually costs more than you want to pay. For me, the Blasted Lands and the Mad Max theme with Jezreel and the rest of that is really what I gravitate towards, because I like that post-apocalyptic thing. Blood of Heroes is one of my favorite movies, Rutger Hauer movies. If you haven't seen it, it's a great B movie. Joan Chen and Vincent D'Onofrio, or young, and good movie. But they do that whole pockets of, not even so, village,
Yeah.
slightly larger village, underground big city, that kind of thing. And that's, whatever you want to do is think. So Game of Thrones, think House Greyjoy. We are ironborn. We are not subjects. We are not slaves. We do not plow or toil in a mine. We take what is ours, right? That's the iron. That's Greyjoy, House Greyjoy. And that's very Tharkold out in that world. If you need something and somebody has it over there, you go get it from them if you can. Right. And it's gasoline is currency. Bullets are currency. Sometimes, aluminum, other metals are currency. You you want to go through the ruins to scavenge because maybe somebody missed something. Somebody always missed something. How you want to do it, that's up to you. But if you want to do the other stuff, absolutely do the other stuff. If you like the 1950s nuclear fallout mutates people and things into anything you want it to be, you absolutely do that in the Blasted Lands, 100%. I got a IE publication I'm doing that with. That's a lot. I'm having a blast with that, and it's a lot of fun going through Tharkold from the standpoint of a 1950s horror movie. Right. And if you want to play a really good Tharkold adventure, the Blood and the Blast, and I keep bringing it up, and it's not because Leamon's on it's just really, it is that good. It's
really, a great adventure.
It is a great adventure. It's a lot of fun, and it's easy to do because it brings a lot of the Tharkold elements in, but it does it in a way that you don't have to know a whole bunch about all of the rest of it. If you have a concept of what Mad Max is, you can absolutely get that theme going, and the rest of it'll fall in line.
JM.
I mean, so the weirdest inspiration for me for making Tharkold adventures actually comes from another game that you mentioned that we bonded over earlier, Leamon, which is Rifts. Like Warlords of Russia and Mystic Russia are perhaps two of my absolute favorite supplements, just hands down, period, from any game. There's just so much good material there. Now, as I said, I love Clive Barker. So Tharkold and I seem to be a match made in, well, I won't say heaven. In Kerr. Yeah. So I like I mentioned last week, I like leaning into the desperation of the Tharkold setting. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. My players are like, oh, JM needs to go watch Hellraiser. He's bringing too much body horror into our game. He needs to bleed that off, or run Cthulhu or something like that. But there is body horror. Like I don't even think you have to it's not a scratch the surface. It's like, look at Occult Tech, look at the cover of the book. But I think for me, what's really interesting is what we've talked about is really more of the psychological horror of Tharkold. The fact that the race and the dominance and the high social factors all blend together to this really sort of abusive government. And again, this is something you'll probably want to talk with your players with if you lean in this way, but it's, listen, we may treat you bad, but we treat you bad so that no one else treats you worse, is sort of the propaganda machine of Tharkold.
You're
and
not wrong.
It's awful. Like, it's horrible. Like, and as Mark said, there's prices and you probably don't want to pay them. So like when you send Storm Knights into Tharkold, in my mind, right, it's the Chasm, even more so for me than a Rorsch. It's the Chasm where no one wants to talk with Storm Knights. Like, it's the every time Storm Knights come through here, it gets worse for us. You're really going to have to prove that this is not just a, oh yeah, let me help you out. Cool. Oh, you're leaving now? Sweet. I'm going to go get, destroyed by the Tharkoldu who now knew I helped you.
Right.
And then you add in the psychological tension of, are you helping me because we're on the same side, or because you're planning to turn this to some other end for the race, because you're like, actually, I don't care about the humans. I just care about beating the Tharkoldu. So yeah, I'll help you with X. And then you did X to save Y. Well, I'm going to blow Y up because that hurts the Tharkoldu more than it, saving these people help me. Like, there's this layer of despair that I think pairs well with Storm Knights, because Storm Knights should be inspiring hope. We talked about the storyteller perk. Like, that's the thing that leaves lasting change in Tharkold. And so I like the system shock for the players. I like the fact that when they go into Tharkold, they've gone from playing this game where I'm the hero and everything mechanically is in my court. Orosh says the mechanical things aren't in your court. Tharkold says, yeah, do whatever you want, but we're still the top dog. Like, you have all the mechanical benefits, actually affects some change, because you can't just beat something up because it's systemic in Tharkold. So don't listen to these episodes, players who are playing in my Torg games, because I've said too much already.
No, and it is one of those, even good things can have bad consequences in Tharkold. You could go to that village out there and learn that it has the meanest leader who treats everybody bad, and you take out that leader, but he's what was holding it together. And something else comes, or you beat back that monster out there, but that monster was keeping something else away. Or
right,
there's
and it's
a
the
power vacuum.
Yeah. The what's the secondary world law? The conservation of evil. Like, it's not just enough to defeat evil in Tharkold. You actually have to set something else up in its place to prevent just more evil from rushing back. And so often, and don't get me wrong, I love running these games. Like, when my group's in Nile Empire, it's two-fisted, pulp action.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
need to worry about what happens when I take down the Red Lobster. Probably not my best villain name, but you just have to punch him in the face to the point that the newspaper writes about you and suddenly everything's good. The sun comes out tomorrow and everything's great. It's not going to work in Tharkold. You make it feel different. And
first of all, it's overcast.
Yeah, first it's probably Fallout. But then I also enjoy the mystic side of Russia. Like, I brought Rasputin into one of my games, and is it Cochise, the Deathless, the guy who hid his soul in a box in a duck egg. Like, there's a lot of really good Russian. Yeah, there's a lot of really good Russian fairy tales and lore that you can go use in your Tharkold game. That
some of them they've made into really good B movies on several of the streaming services. You can go watch a number of those and you're like, wait a minute, I've never heard this story before. Where does that come from?
No, it's just I love Tharkold for just the variety of stuff. And then if for somehow you get, I don't even want to say bored, because I don't see how you can get bored, but if you want to go even deeper, then there's Kerr, which is definitely Hellraiser inspired. It is Matrix. It's Hellraiser inside of the Matrix, basically.
Yeah, and then a little lawnmower man as well, and
I love Kerr. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Kerr as a concept.
I just love when we were coming up with Tharkold and we were having our interviews, and people were like, "I want to know about Kerr. I want to know about Kerr. What are all the perks and cyberdecks and blah blah blah?" And I just said, "You don't want to go." Oh, we want to go. No, you don't want to go. You don't want to go. You might have to go. You might have to go, but you don't want to go. Even their versions of, the net runners don't want to go. And if they can get you to go and they can observe outside and kind of like, hey, take a left here, or hey, you might want to look over here, they would much rather do that and kind of guide you from outside Kerr than actually get into Kerr.
Oh yeah.
And so if you have stumbled onto this podcast and you're like, what's a Kerr? The Kerr is essentially the Matrix, if that is where the demons stored all of the memories of their torture and pain that they've inflicted. So imagine the darkest part of the internet and then make that the whole internet for like 1,000 years. And that's basically the Kerr. It's the torment grid.
And Andrew Lloyd Wright got together with Lovecraft and Clive Barker on an absinthe-fueled bender, and they tried to outdo each other in the setting and the architecture and the things that you see and do, because I mean, mechanically, you have to take a wound to enter Kerr. You can't soak it. You have to take a wound, and you enter it. And when we were playing original Torg, Rod set that up with a thing he called a stab jack. And you just, okay, here. And the guy jabbed it into us. We're like, wait a minute, what the heck is this? Like, we got to go into Kerr. It's beautiful that's, wait a minute, I don't want to do this. No, you don't. Yeah. Okay,
no
your
one
mission
wants
can
to
fail. You can go back, and your mission is a failure.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I like about the setting in Tharkold, is that you present them with this horrible moral choice, and there's really not a good choice. There's the lesser of evils. Tharkold highlights the lesser of evils so well. It's like, okay, I can either take the wound and then go into Kerr and attempt to solve my mission or be successful in the mission, or I just turn around and go home and the mission's a failure. Those are your options.
Yeah.
And since there's the knowledge, like you said, since that's where they store the knowledge, there's some good in quotes.
Valuable.
Valuable information and knowledge that you can't find elsewhere. And as well as the Hellraiser, you throw in the MC Escher, because I always imagine the walking on the ceilings and then the steps change or the pathway and you're going in a different direction and gravity's all weird and stuff like that going on as well.
Yeah, man. Never mind. I was just gonna be like, I love the Kerr. But the other thing that you kind of touched on, Leamon, that I love is, if you guys haven't picked up on it, so you have mutants, demons, magic, occult tech, this weird torment internet, psionics, the race. You can put so much, come up with the weirdest thing you can think of, and you have at least 7 things to draw it back to. I had no, they still don't know what it is. There was a mercenary in Tharkold who would take the faces of people and stitch them into his skin and then could change into that person. They don't know if he's a mutant. They don't know if he's using demon magic. They don't know what's going on. And you know what? The point wasn't to figure out what he was. The point was to use him to get what they needed. But it disturbed my players. And the mystery was also something. But like Mark has brought up several times over the course of the podcast, just tie it back to a world law, tie it back to something that gives you enough of an anchor to move forward. And Tharkold is I would say brimming with anchors, but they're really more like spikes that you could hang things off of because it's
Yeah.
Tharkold and
Barbed
Or
hooks.
right. Yeah. Very, very Hellraisers.
We're
I mean,
back to hell. Yeah, we're back to
yeah,
Hellraiser.
their main source of power is the pain of others. Right. That's what
Vril.
Tharkoldu tech works off of.
It's funny. When I took the organized play group through Blood on the Blasted Lands, one of the players couldn't make the very first adventure. So the next adventure, as an introduction for his character into the game, I had him attached to a bobsled that was running off of his pain. So he was hooked to a Vril converter, and that's how I introduced Rod's character to the rest of the group.
That's
is he was
awesome.
strapped into this. Pain is, it's giving him shock, giving him pain, but that's how he was able to get to the group.
Wow.
He just, I mean, what an introduction. Like,
Yeah.
shouldn't have missed that first session. The other inspiration that there's a part of is the Agree, or known as the games, which is where you can get your Running Man type inspiration, where and what Mark said, the gladiator type thing, where blood sport is entertainment. It's on the TV. They have these. They'll take prisoners of war. They'll make people not citizens. Oh, you went against the government? You lose your citizenship. Now, as punishment, you go to the game. If you survive the game, then you get set free. Do people survive the game?
No.
And I think that is a great twist. I have this Tharkold adventure for the next time they go there, where the person they're supposed to, their informant, they find out is in one of these blood sports. And so the only way to get to them is to basically get put in the same sport and hope to get the information. Like, I don't even think there may not even be a chance of getting that person out. It's getting their information out and surviving everyone else who's trying to race for the same exit.
And I will say, in one of the adventures, there's a video game, like an arcade, and the video game hooks you up to participate as one of the people going after the Running Man, for the guy who's trying to get out. That's your entertainment. You go to the the arcade, you play a video game, you're kind of safe, but you're all your death and destruction you're raining down is on real people. That's how you have your fun. It's cruel, it's horrible, it's Tharkold.
Tharkold. Just in case you're picking up too much glee on my end, know that I do the joys of my enjoyment of Tharkold do not reflect my own personal beliefs or those of the company that is JM. I don't know how to, I enjoy. I enjoy running darker games because I feel like the heroes get to shine brighter against them. Yes, the stakes may not be as big, but the sacrifices mean more. So I don't like just taking my players through Tharkold just to torment them. There's always a purpose in the story for going there. But as Mark said, if you don't like it,
don't run it.
Take the stuff out you don't like. Exactly.
Yeah. It's not the game master. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, it's the beauty of Tharkold as an element to this broader tapestry or tableau that is Torg Eternity, in that if you need a foil that you're like, I don't want to run here, but I need a bad guy. Tharkoldu are fantastic bad guys. And, rule of two, drop them into the Living Land, drop them into Cyber. They blend in well into Cyber Papacy because they look like any other demon. People are going to look and go, well, there was a demon here. They're not going to say there was a Tharkoldu here, right? So their involvement, not so much. Vril, I love Vril. I'm Leamon knows I'm toying around with Vril as other things right now, and let me stop because I like Vril a lot.
I do too, and I've made it anytime one of my Storm Knights picks up Vril to use Vril crystals for something, I give them a little glimpse of the pain that's in the crystal. And so they're like, wait, we shouldn't be like, I think Kowalski finally stopped using Vril and just got the the thing that he can recharge his own things by taking shock. Because he didn't want to deal with the fact that I don't like touching other people's pain and getting a little, like when you put a 9-volt battery to your tongue, is how I describe it. Every time you pick up a Vril crystal, you get a little glimpse of the pain that's stored in it.
But that's how you make your headphones work, is you have to touch that 9-volt to your tongue.
I don't like this. You're not supposed to. It's Tharkold. Like, do something about it. Like, I think for me, Tharkold, the reason it's as dark as it is because I really just want a group of Storm Knights to get so fed up with it that they're like, we're going to become warlords in Tharkold, and we're going to take this town, and it will be our town, and we will defend it against anyone who comes against it. I'll be like, yes, finally, thank you. That was what I've been hoping for.
See, the what we haven't touched on, and I think we're going to get there, because Leamon hasn't moved us into plot stories and stuff like that yet.
Well, then let's move into that.
Okay, so as JM said earlier, Tharkold is rich with stories to be told. I mean, there's, as you said, 7 or more things you can anchor stuff to. There's ready-made bad guys everywhere. You need a bad guy, they're there. Boom, done. You don't even need to look. They're standing on every corner. The thing we haven't talked about much is the fact that in Tharkold is the only cosm, the only place that Core Earth managed to stop the invasion. And they did it in a very Tharkoldu way. Not because they were Tharkold at the time, but they're like, we got nothing else, nuke it. Hey, look, that worked. And the demons went, oh crap, that worked. And they had to stop and turn and take notice. And Volkov, who was one of the who got made a duke because he managed to stand there and do that, right? That is a spot where now this becomes you can take this into a broader thing in the thing as a whole and say, because it's Russia and Pravda, who doesn't throw propaganda left and right almost as much. Pan Pacifica went, oh, we can take some notes from that. These guys can stand around and tell everybody, look, we run Core Earth, we stopped this invasion. You want to help with your invasion? You come see us, because look at this. Russia, we got civilization back together. We've got we're at peace.
A truce, at
right?
least.
A truce, at least. We're not at war with them. They're not at war with us on the surface, right?
Yeah,
and so Volkov has successfully elevated himself on par with these guys. Nobody else anywhere in any cosm has managed to do that. So that's a story aspect that you can build almost anything you want from. And we hadn't touched on that yet. So much, he's done so much so that even the Gaunt Man had to pay attention to this, because he was like, you guys here, you take Russia. That's your spot. You go invade up there. How did you? I gave you Russia. How did you not manage to do this? How did you let them stop you? And so now, if the Gaunt Man has taken notice, that's a problem.
Yeah.
No, and it's also for me, it's interesting because Russia is much bigger than just Tharkold, the realm. So Volkov as a duke, currently their High Lord has been killed. He's going against Jazrael and Thrachin. So you have 3 dukes that can give you 3 different flavors of Tharkold. But then east of the Urals, the Asian part of Russia, that's all just Russia. It's not Tharkold.
Mm-hmm.
And he controls that. Volkov controls that as well. He's the president. So you can have
Yeah, it's core
things
Earth,
happen.
but it's still Russia.
Right. So, Volkov is controlling a piece of Tharkold and all of the rest of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have something, we were talking about core Earth. You can have a lot of good core Earth adventures happening in Russia where Volkov is scheming or something and part of it, but it's not necessarily Tharkold. You can introduce some Tharkold elements because I'm sure stuff is going around, but it gives you as a game master a nice more paints in your palette when you're making your adventure. And then for your players, you have, like we talked about earlier, there's just so many ways. My character is just the occult tech scrapper that scavenges stuff, and then Mike has a race character that's going with the psychic stuff, as well as Pavel, and then he has Boria, who is a human mutant. Kind of, he has a giant moth companion. And
Boria and Spoot.
So very, very different characters, all Tharkold and speaking bad Russian accents. So we're getting close to our hour. Do we have any last thoughts besides just Tharkold's a great, horrible place to adventure in?
I think the only other thing I would point out is that, and this is for players and for GMs, Tharkold is desperate enough that almost anyone will turn on their masters or their allies if given sufficient leverage. Now, for GMs, this gives you the classic, "Oh, but they paid me more money. I'm so sorry." But for player characters, especially with the law of dominance, there's not the inspired loyalty of a cyber papacy hierarchy or the fearful paranoia of the Kanawa Corp employee. You can, through dominance, persuasion, or enough bottle caps, that reference was for you, Mark, purchase the temporary alliance of just about anyone in Tharkold. So it's not a setting where everything has to be solved with fists and guns and pain. You just need to know where to apply leverage.
Exactly. Maybe taking out that one guy will then get you the information from the people under him, because then they don't have that worry.
Yeah.
And it's removing rungs. If you can remove the rungs, then you or somebody who's leans towards your ideas and going with you, they can move up the ladder. So, very cool.
So 3 things real quickly. The fun thing about Tharkold that doesn't readily present itself that you can use is, instead of, as JM said, instead of making guns and knives and bombs your go-to, social combat becomes a thing in Tharkold from the standpoint of dominance. I can make somebody look bad. I look and elevate myself in the process. I've done a good thing. So you can use maneuver as an interaction to do that. Intimidate's a fantastic thing you can use, where somebody publicly has to back down, and now you've elevated yourself, and there's not a weapon drawn, right? You can do all of these things to have, because the fighting, especially you mentioned dogs and wolves, the fighting doesn't happen until the dominance displays fail. And then the fighting happens. But if they can establish the pecking order and somebody rolls over and shows their belly, okay, fine, we're good. We don't have to fight. Second thing, don't let the dominance thing become this is for GMs. Don't let the dominance thing become your player's go-to every single time, so that you roll up on somebody and I have to establish dominance every time. And so every time they roll up, on the first thing we got to figure out is, how do I dominate this guy or this gal, or how do I do I appear submissive? Dominance is not always got to be a thing, because then you get the tank or the brick or whoever your brawler is. That's all they do.
Mm-hmm.
They figure, okay, I just walk in there, I pick out the biggest guy, and then I go beat him down, and now we get anything we want because I beat the biggest guy in the room. Yeah, that'll work once or twice, but that's boring. I mean, if you do that every single time, that's going to be boring. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the third thing, and we haven't really talked about this at all, we have hinted at it. There are 3 factions that are in Tharkold, 3 dukes. The darkness device doesn't know which one is going to be the High Lord, and so the darkness device is pitting all 3 against each other to see who's going to be dominant, right? And so they're maneuvering against each other. So when you roll up into Tharkold, not only do they not trust you as a Storm Knight, because every time Storm Knights have rolled in, when they roll out, everything is worse for us. Even if you find somebody that you can talk to, yeah, they're from Tharkold, but what faction in Tharkold are they from? So, I mean, you have figured out that human being in Core Earth is from Tharkold. Well, do they represent Thrachin? Do they represent Jezreel? Do they represent Volkov? Who are they with? Or are they with the race? Are they a Thoral plant? Who are they with? So you've got this other layer that needs to be explored as well. And so, I mean, Pan Pacifica is just loving the levels of suspicion that roll around in Tharkold, because if you're not suspicious in Tharkold, you're probably dead.
Yeah. And so if you like, Mark's brought up Game of Thrones several times. If you like that level of sort of political intrigue, this is a great setting for it. You've got at least 5 factions that we just named: Core Earth, Volkov, Thraxan, Jezreel, the race.
And there's free and thralls in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's there's so much in Tharkold, and if you as a listener or viewer, if you only take one thing away from it, is don't get caught up on one aspect that you don't like, because there's a ton out there that you can just completely ignore one of these aspects and all the other ones, or a lot of the other ones, or one of the other ones. There should be something there that you can lean into, because it's one of the realms that has so much. At first it seems just, oh, okay, it's Mad Max, but when you get into it, there's just so many different adventures and stories that you can tell in Tharkold. So having said that, I guess we will wrap up. We thank you very much for listening to us for Tharkold. We'll be back regularly with the next reality, whichever one we decide to do, or I guess I should say what I decide to do. But
yeah, we're both leaning in, going, "What is it? What is it?"
It'll be one of the nicer realities next time. So
I'll still bring horror into it.
So, having said that, once again, this is Torg Eternity Delphi Council Debriefings. Please email us with any of your comments or questions at torgdcd@gmail.com. And until next time, we hope you have fun in your own Cosmverse. Bye.